We're on page 124 in the Tzurba, volume 12. We're dealing with halachot of Siyum Hatefillah, conclusion of Tefillah. B'ez Hashem, today we're going to start also halachot of Kaddish. So we already, last week, we talked about Kedusha the Sidra, we talked about Valetzion, talked about Ashrei, and we dealt with those halachot, Tahanum, and all those other halachot, Lamnatzeach, and everything there. Now we're holding at Shir Shel Yom. Every single day, we say a different shir, a different song for the day. Why is it? What are we singing? Why is every day a different song? So he goes to Masechah Rosh Hashanah, Daf Lamed Aleph Amarav, Tani Rabbi Yehuda, Mishra Rabbi Akiva, B'Rishon Ma'yoimrim. What do we say on Sunday? On Sunday we say La Hashem Ha'aretz Umlo'ah. That's the Tehillim that we say. Tehillim number 24. Why? Hashem Shekana V'Hikna V'Shalit Ba'olamo. There it says that the earth belongs to Hashem. And on Sunday, Hashem created the world. He acquired the world. And he gave it over to people. It's Hashem's in order to give it over. On Sunday, Hashem created the world. It's his world. He's able to give it over. That's the Tehillim that we say on Sunday. What do we say on Monday? We say, Gadol Hashem uhalal me'od. All right, this is Tehillim 48. Why? It says that Hashem is great. Gadol Hashem me'od. Al Shem shechilik ma'asav u'malach aleihen. Hashem, on that day, separated with the two waters, upper and lower. And just like that, the Tehillim talks about Yerushalayim being separated from the rest of the world, and Hashem rules in Jerusalem. So that separation and Hashem's rulership is talked on Monday. That's why on Monday we read Gadol Hashem u'malal me'od. B'shlishi hayu omrim Elohim nitzav ba'adat el. On Tuesday we read Tehillim 82. Why? It says Elohim nitzav ba'adat el. Hashem stands amongst the congregation. Hashem shigila eretz v'chachmato v'echin tevel al adato. Because on Tuesday Hashem separated the land from the earth. And now you're able to stand. And there you have those who take Hashem's wisdom and stand in judgment, and stand in Hashem's holy assembly. That's what you have on Tuesday about Elohim Nitzav B'adat El. On Wednesday, we say El Nekamot Hashem, that Hashem is going to take revenge. Hashem Shebarah Hama Uvana V'atid Yiparem Ma'odehen. Because on Wednesday, Hashem created the sun and the moon and the stars. And in the future, when Hashem punishes the Goyim, like we learned in the Midrash, he's going to punish them through the sun. He's going to take the sun out of its sheet, and all the Goyim are going to melt on the spot. We talked about that in Sukkot. That's what the Rivi'i is. So Rivi'i is Elikamot Hashem, because Hashem created the stars and the suns, and that's what he's going to use to punish them. Hamishi ayu omrim harninu le'Elohim ozenu. We read Tehillim. On the fifth day, we read Tehillim 81, and it says over there, sing aloud to Hashem. Why are we saying that? Because Hashem on Thursday created the fish and the birds, and when people see it, the fish and the birds, they praise Hashem for his creation. That's why we say Harninu Elohim Uzenu. Vashishi ayu omrim Adonai malach geut lavesh Hashem shegemar melachoto malach alehen. Because on that day he concluded the creation, and he Hashem is ruling over it. Therefore, it's Hashem malach geut lavesh. V'shivi'i hayu omrim mizmor shel yom haShabbat. And on seventh day on Shabbat, as we do after Aleinu, we say mizmor shel yom haShabbat, the yom shekulo Shabbat. That's the way we say the yom shel Shabbat. So every single day is not a random Tehillim. Right? I love one of the siddurim that I use is this current siddur, and in here he actually writes every morning. He reminds you, Mizmar zeh ne'amar b'yom rishon kivan shehu madgish et ba'olato shel HaKadosh Baruch Ha'olam shehu bara, that Hashem is now the ruler of the world he created. That's how you know why he's saying Sunday. And let's go to Revi'i for Wednesday. Mizmar zeh ne'amar b'yom revi'i shebo nivra ha'me'orot that eventually Hashem will use these stars, suns, and moon to punish the people who are going against him. So every day we're reading it. This Shir Shel Yom is based on the Gemara Rosh Hashanah that tells us what the Leviim would actually sing. There again, and you look at the top orange box in the 124. This was the song the Leviim sang the Beit HaMikdash every single day when they were pouring the Nisuch HaYayin, when they were pouring the wine on the Mizbeach. That was a song that they were singing. Therefore, we say, Hayom Yom Rishon, Hayom Yom Echad B'Shabbat Kodesh Shayu Alavim Omrim Ala Duchan, that they were on the platform. They were singing this while they were pouring the wine. That's what we're saying, and each day has its point. Source number 31, Rashi explains, when it says in the day one that Hashem was kaina, he acquired and then transferred it. Hashem acquired the world in order to transfer it. He couldn't transfer it on Sunday. There's no people yet, but he acquired it on that day. On Monday, when Hashem separated the waters from the bottom waters to the top waters, similar to Hashem separating Yerushalayim from the rest of the world. On Tuesday, he separated the land from the water. On Thursday, he created the fish and the birds. People will see it and give praise to Hashem. On Shabbat, we say Mizmor Shabbat because it's a day full of Shabbat. Because in the future, the world is going to become desolate. Nothing's going to be there. Rashi says that in the future, there will be nothing left. It's just going to be resting the whole time. So based on that future of no people, no nothing, there'll be no work. That's why we say Mizmor Shabbat. Okay? Now, how do we all read it? We all say this by Sfaradim. There's two different nusachs that we can use. Some say Hayom Yom Echad b'Shabbat, and some say Hayom Yom Echad b'Shabbat Kodesh. Right? Most of us say B'Yom Shabbat Kodesh. That's the way we say. But there are those that say B'Yom Shabbat. You'll see some of them bring that way. And why do we all read it Hayom Yom b'Shabbat? Right? Even Ashkenazim, we also say. They also say B'Yom Shabbat. What's the reason for that? That's the Ramban. Look at the Ramban, source 32. Don't count the days like the Goyim count the days. You should count it for Shabbat. What does it mean? This is the explanation. Kinotrim, the Rambam says either they make up a name for the day, or they name the day based on the influences in the heaven, right? The ministers in the heaven, and they name the names after that. For example, Sunday is called Sunday because they would worship the sun. Monday is the moon, and then I don't know what Tuesday and Wednesday is, but as this goes, was another influence that they would say the name. Or they just make up random names for them. But Israel. Monim kol ha'amim l'shem Shabbat. When a Jew calls the day, doesn't Stam just call the day. He calls the day in the name of Shabbat. Echad b'Shabbat, Sheni b'Shabbat. Kizum min ha'mitzvah shenatzminu be'ot l'zachot tamid b'chol yom. It's our mitzvah upon us to remember every day what day of the week it is in Shabbat. That is a mitzvah to remember. That is a mitzvah to remember. Therefore, that's why we say Hayom Yom Echad b'Shabbat Kodesh, Hayom Yom Sheni b'Shabbat Kodesh. We always mention the day of Shabbat. Before we move on to the next topic here, just want to bring down from the Yalkut Yosef. So this is going to be on page 449 in the Sefer. Here we're going to look very quickly. I'm Rim Sher Shel Yom. V'yesh shenahagu lo'omer hayom yom echad b'Shabbat Kodesh. V'yesh shomrim hayom yom echad b'Shabbat. Some say b'Shabbat Kodesh, some say just b'Shabbat. B'li tevat Kodesh. V'da'avid kamar avid, v'da'avid kamar avid. Whatever way you do, good. All fine. V'yesh nohagim she'omrim sheyesh b'hem mizmor miyuchad l'ot liyamim. What happens on the day when you have another mizmor? Okay, like we have some mizmorim for the fast days, for your Bet Avel, when you're on Rosh Chodesh. There's another there's another shir that we read. So Hanukkah, right? Right, you have all these different things. Kigayim Rosh Chodesh, Shalom Mizmor Baruch Nafshi, Chanukah, Shalom Mizmor Shechel Gabayit, Purim, Shalom Mizmor Namatei Chayot Shachar, V'chayotz B'zeh. Loimer Gam Shir Shel Yom. Should also say the day, the Shir Shel Yom, the Gam HaMizmor Miyuchad L'Ois Yom, and the Mizmor that's for that day. We should say both. But I'm Shir Shel Yom, Kol HaMizmor Miyuchad L'Ois Hayom. And you should say the regular day before the Mizmor for that special day. Right? That's the way you have it in the Siddurim. First it brings a Yom Yom Echad B'Shabbat Kodesh, and then in the back you have it. Because you have something that's constant and something that's once in a while. The one that's constant takes precedence. Is first. Ela shekodem shir shayom ein omrim et tevot asher shahayu alovim omrim al duchan. That part we do not say. We don't say the part. This is the song that the Levim would sing on the Duchan, on the platform. We don't say that part. Why don't we say that part? We say, Hayom Yom Shani B'Shabbat Kodesh, and then go into the Mizmor. Why don't you read that part? When you have a holiday or another Mizmor, why don't you say it? Because when they did the Nisur Chayayin at that time, that they sang the song of the special day. They didn't sing the song of that day. That's why you cannot say that. Therefore, we just say, Hayom Yom Shani B'Shabbat Kodesh, and we go into the rest. There are those who do not say the Sher Shel Yom at all. I believe this is the Moroccan custom. So I saw the article that brought down that it's the Moroccan custom not to say the Sher Shel Yom at all on a day that you're saying a different Mizmor. So if it's Purim or Tanis Esther or whatever day you're going to say a different Mizmor, you don't say the Sher Shel Yom because that's not what the Leviim were singing in the Beit HaMikdash that day anyway. They sang the special song. So rather they just read the special mizmor that was for that day, because that's what they read in the Beit HaMikdash. Everyone should do their minhag. It's tov. Now he says, "Tov yoter." It's better, preferable. Sheyomru gam et the mizmor hashayich laoto yom. First, you say the mizmor for that day, like we do, and then the mizmor for the special day. But if we have Musaf that day, like on Rosh Chodesh or on Chanukah Rosh Chodesh, we'll read the Sher Shel Yom. We'll read the Sher Shel Yom before Musaf, right? And then after Musaf, we'll read the special Mizmor for that day. Now, he doesn't bring it here, but if you look at different Sephardic Siddurim, you'll see a difference of opinion of how to go about when you have two of them. Do you say Hoshi'enu before the special Mizmor or after the special Mizmor? What are we knowing here? Nu Malkiel, what do you guys do by you? When you have a special day, you have another Mizmor to say.
I think we do Hoshi'enu towards the end, the last one. We read the second one.
Mizmor?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
What do you have? So they're say different things. What does this siddur say? You guys use this siddur, right? No. So here, for example, right? He brings the Mizmor Shel Yom, and then he brings the Hoshi'enu, and then he says, so here he says like yourself, Yom Shemaisv Mizmor Noisef Asher Sheyom Ayrim Hoshenu Achrei HaMizmor HaNosef. There are he says over here that you say Hoshi'enu after the extra Mizmor. Okay. The Ben Ish Chai doesn't say that way. The Ben Ish Chai says, say the Mizmor Shel Yom, you say Hoshi'enu, and then you say the Mizmor that's extra. Okay. So there are difference of opinions. And the siddur that I showed you before, in the Koran, he notices those opinions, and it's just with the minhag, what people do. That's why how they do it. So he says over here, he says after he has the Mizmor show, the special Mizmor, he writes Yesh Oimrim Kan Hoshi'enu. Some say here Hoshi'enu, and some say Hoshi'enu before. Myself, for this, I'm not going to change the whole world, but for myself, I read Hoshi'enu after the Mizmor Shel Yom, like the Ben Ish Chai. Because I always use, mostly for Shacharit, I always use the siddur that's based on the Ben Ish Chai's Pesachs. the O Joseph Chai Siddur, and in there he says Ben Shchai says Say Hoshenu, and then say the Mizmor shall extra for that day. The Yaakov doesn't bring anything on this. And like you said, it's not doesn't change anything la halacha, but what's people's minhag, what they do. So we hear about the Shem, follow what the Siddur says, and it's fine. You just say the Hoshenu afterwards. And if someone said Hoshenu beforehand, you don't have to stop the chazan. Okay, let him go as long as everything is read in some order. Is both it's all acceptable. Svardim saying Mizmor share on Shabbat. Right, we don't say Hoshenu on Shabbat. We say Mizmor Shalayom on Shabbat after Tefillah, like Ashkenazim. What? Oh, right. You guys say extra Kaddish then, right? But we say it as if an Ashkenaz on a regular day. Ashkenazim say Shir Shalayom last on a regular day. Yeah, just like Ashkenaz. On a regular day, they say Mizmor Shalayom after Aleinu. So we, in that sense, on Shabbat, act like them and say Mizmor Shalayom Shabbat after Aleinu. That's my one day we. But what does the Ashkenaz do on Shabbat? Well, they also read it before Atar Reita, right? Let's see. I have here. This is Ashkenaz. What do they do? Mizmor Shalayom Shabbat. It's Kaddish. Ramon Shahar is Kaddish, right? Shir Shabbat, they have Kaddish. Then they have Rich Shmei. They go right away. There's no Mizmor Shalayom Shabbat. Maybe they do it after Musaf. Let's see. No, they just have Anim. They have afterwards. The Shir Shalayom is read afterwards. But they actually say Yom Shabbat Kodesh Shavoy Levim Amrim Beis Hamikdash. We don't say that line. We just say Mizmor Shalayom Shabbat. But yeah, so we on Shabbat, like Nusach Ashkenaz, say the Mizmor Shalayom after Aleinu of Musaf. Anim Mizimars, they say it before Mizmor Shalayom. Yeah, I also haven't davened in Nusach Ashkenaz in a long time on Shabbat. But yeah.
So Ben Ishchai says say Hoshenu and then the special Mizmor after that.
Yeah, if you have the Siddur and the Bukharian Siddur, you have the Russian Siddur that Bukhar Baruch put together. He usually follows that Siddur of O Joseph Kai. He usually follows the Siddur of the O Joseph Kai. I don't know if he'll bring it here, but let's see what he says to do over here. So here he just says Mizmor. He says say Hoshi Enu. Then he says in the days you have extra Mizmor, don't say Kaddish right away. Just say the extra Mizmor. And after the extra Mizmor, he doesn't say to say Hoshi Enu because he's holding like the Ben Ishchai, like I expected him to. Okay. Yep. Doesn't say to say it beferish, but he says that's the way he brings down the thing. He says Shir Shalayom Hoshi Enu. If you have extra day, you say the Mizmor. And after the extra Mizmor, he doesn't say to say Hoshi Enu. So that's it's you'll see different places do differently. Every way they go, it's all acceptable. All right?
The thing is, some mourners are so used to saying Kaddish right after the Hoshenu that they start the Kaddish. Stop.
Yeah.
You know?
So you gotta
even the Chazan can forget sometimes.
So a wise man, his head is in his eyes is in his head. He knows some mourner is gonna get to this. So before he starts Mizmor Shalayom, someone should just get up. By the way, today we have an extra Mizmor, so hold on the Kaddish. That's it. Make a little announcement. I'll tell you once when I was younger, we had a youth minyan on Chol Hamoed. It took us to my father's shul, and I like giving instructions before we get to anything. I remember Yom Kippur, I was always giving instructions before every tefillah. I just like everyone to be on the same page. Everyone knows what we're doing. I had someone who came over afterwards and told me it's the first time I davened a minyan when I knew what I was supposed to do. And I'm like, okay. I mean, why do people don't tell? It's good. Why everyone's keeping it a secret? Tell people what to do. Now we'll be doing X, Y, and Z, especially on a holiday. People not used to the differences. You say it, so everybody knows the same thing. Same thing here. It's the day they can say extra Mizmor. So someone just says, we're going to say an extra share afterwards, so don't say Kaddish right away. Wait just another second until we finish. So then they'll know. Also, Tefillah, Mincha, on a Ta'anit. I see this all the time. We say Ashrei, we say Kaddish, take out the Torah. Some people forget it's the fast day, they're starting Shemona Esrei. So you just say, today we're taking out the Torah after Ashrei. So everyone remembers, hopefully, that you take out the Torah. So no one starts Shemona Esrei by accident. It's okay to say these type of things to remind people. Yeah. Okay. He knows this is going to happen. He knows people. He knows what to say. All right. Let's move on to Pitum HaKetoret. All right, Rabotai. Pituma Ketor, page 127. Pituma Ketor, it's big stuff. You know, we're going to see that Nusach Ashkenaz does not say Pituma Ketor every day. Nusach Ashkenaz does not say the Pituma Ketor after the by Kaveh El Hashem. They don't say Kaveh El Hashem. They don't say Pituma Ketor at that point. Nusach Ashkenaz. They don't say it at all. Why don't they say it at all? We're going to find out today. They're scared. You're right. They're scared. But why are they scared? Okay, we read Pituma Ketoret, and it comes to the Gemara and Kitut. Okay, according to the Noid of Yehuda, we say En Kelokenu before Pituma Ketoret, because En Kelokenu tells us there's no one but Hashem. And you have to remember that. Why? Because a person that says Pituma Ketoret, it's going to make him rich. And if he gets a lot of money, he might forget that it came from Hashem. Therefore, we say En Kelokenu, En Kaddish, En Kimalkeinu, no one's like Hashem. And then you say Pituma Ketoret, and you get rich, and you remember that it came from Hashem. This is the Nodab Yehuda. Okay? Those, he says over here, those who are Nusach Sfar, Nusach Yadot Mizrach, we say Pituma Ketoret every day. In addition to reciting it during the Korbanot in the morning. Most people in Eretz Yisrael also say it, regardless if they even pray Nusach Ashkenaz. However, most of Nusach Ashkenaz in Chutz La'aretz do not say Pituma Ketoret except for Shabbat. Okay? Let's see why that is, starting with the Zohar. Okay? The Zohar is in Aramaic. They have the Hebrew and the Targum on the bottom over there, and we're going to read the English just to make it simple for everyone. Rav Shimon says, if people knew how great the offering of Pituma Ketoret is before Hashem, they would take each and every word of it and place it as a crown on their head, like a golden crown. Every word of Pituma Ketoret is so special, you make a crown out of it. And one who puts in effort to look at the process of the offering of the incense and has proper concentration when reciting it, each day has a share in this world and the world to come. You say Pituma Ketoret, you have a chelik in this world and the chelik in the next world. Death will be removed from him and the entire world, and he'll be saved from all negative judgment in this world. Negative effects from the effects of Gehenna and from the negative effects of neighboring kingdoms. So Pituma Ketoret is so powerful, it gives you a zchut to live in this world and the next world, protects you from all negative stuff. So
from where is the text? From where until where is the actual text of it? From Tanu Rabbanan, is it from Mayomer, or is it
Pituma Ketoret?
Yeah, let's if a person is rushing prayer, so where should he read to make sure he got that? He got
so
that.
So Pituma Ketoret is when we start Tanu Rabbanan, Pituma Ketoret Ketzad, right? But that's the Gemara. But before that, it's already the Parsha Ketoret, where you say Vayom Hashem Moshe Kach. That's already started Pituma Ketoret. Also starts. That's also the introduction to it. Atu Hashem Lekenu Shektor B'Tolech Kodesh Azmim. So yeah, from Atahu Hashem by the Parsha, Tanu Rabbanan, Rabbi Shimon, Tani Rabbi Natan Omer, Tani Vakapara, until there, right? Until Ammonite Tzivot Imanu. That's Pituma Ketoret. That's the Braitot, and right, it has all the Braitot from Masechet Kritot. That's where it comes from.
I think Yahud Yosef said the person in a rush just should read the Tanu Rabbanan till Ledorotechem. Don't say Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Go straight to Ana Bechoa. Which means that it could be that Tanu Rabbanan just mentions the main stuff, the ingredients. So maybe that's what it is.
Of course, if you have limited time, you have to limit what you have. But talking about the actual what do they write in the parchment? Who has the parchment? Atu Hashem until where? They go to in the parchment.
Kadmoniyot, I believe it says in the parchment.
By the way, writing it on this is not possible, right? You're not supposed to do it actually.
What?
To hire someone to write it. So Chamavaji writes, shouldn't be writing this on a parchment. If it's already written, then you can use it, but you shouldn't do it. That's what he writes. We'll get into it later. Right? Until Ushtanim Kedmaniot. The words of Ushtanim Kedmaniot.
The whole thing basically.
Huh?
Tanya Bakapara, the whole thing. Rabban Shimon, Tanya Raminata.
Right. Okay. So the whole time Makapara. Right. Until time of Elio. So that's what they're saying is the Seder Pitum HaKetor. Till time of Elio.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So now. So now that's what the Zohar said. So now, why would Nusach Ashkenaz be scared of saying it or not saying it? Why wouldn't they say it? So here he brings in source 34 as follows. He brings from the Beit Yosef. He writes, "Katav Rabbeinu Hagadol Mahari Avohav she'ein lomar pitom ketoret elo mitoch haktav." The person should not say pitom ketoret by heart. Rather, he has to read it from a book. Shema yechzar echad me'asemanim v'aya chayav mita b'kriyat kemo b'haktara. And he says over there, if you missed one spice when you were making it, you're chayav mita. So too, if you miss one spice while saying it, you're also going to be chayav mita. This is what the Rabbeinu Hagadol Mahari Avuhav wanted to say. So he said that if you make one mistake in the reading of B'duma Ketoret, it's all over. Therefore, don't. And he says, so the Beit Yosef says that maybe the reason why Nusach Ashkenaz doesn't say B'duma Ketoret every day, they're worried that they may skip a word. And if they may skip a word, they're going to be Hayam Mita. Even though they say in the Korbanot, here at the end they don't say it. That's what he wants to bring. That's what the Beit Yosef brings from the Mahari Avuhav. However, the Beit Yosef goes through a whole shot over here, and he says it cannot be. You know, if you miss the spice when you're making the Pitim HaKetoret, that's what you're Hayam Mita for. Missing a word when you're saying it, that could be Hayam Mita for that. You're not making the spices. That's what he says. And look at the bold. The Haini Dafkishu Maktir Mamash. Why would he be punished for that? You know. Okay, but I'm not breaking. I'm not making it. I'm not making it. Just saying it. And then he says that you have to bring further proof. Not it's not only if you make a mistake when you're bringing it, when you're making the Ketoret. The real issue of Hayam Mita, he wants to say, the Kara wants to say, is when you bring a missing spice Ketoret into the Kodesh Kodashim. That would be the problem. Not if you actually missed it. So he's saying that you're not going to die for it. Therefore, he says, don't be scared to say it. But here we see is the Mikor for this Ashkenaz not saying Pitum HaKetoret every day at the end of Tefillah, as they're scared that they might miss a word. And that might, according to some, that might be considered Hayam Mita. So you're trying to get rich by saying Pitum HaKetoret, right? But in the end of the day, what you end up doing, not only get rich, also we learned that the bracha that comes down, Pitum HaKetoret cleans it up, makes it better, illuminates it, makes it lighter, makes it better. So there's a Ashkenaz says, I don't want to say it because maybe it's going to end up being detrimental to me instead. Okay. The Ramah brings down the Yesh Limer Pitum Mekatarish Erev Avaykir Achar Tefillah. Ra'imim Tchila Ein Kelokenu. Ra'imim Sher Shalavim Hasher Shalavim Hayu Oimrim B'Mikdash Shacharit Levad. The Yesh Chatbul Izaher Limer Pitum Mekatar Mitoch Tav. Eloi Baal Peh. Mishum Shamir B'Mokom Mekatara B'Chashin Shema Yidlag Echad Mesimonim V'Arminon Shehu Chayav Mita Im Chiser Achat Mesamadea. The Ramah says we're scared if you missed one word in saying it, you might come to Chayam Mita. Therefore, we, Nusach Ashkenaz, but the Ramah speaking, not me. The Ramah says, therefore, we, Nusach Ashkenaz, we do not say B'Yom Ketoret every single day. Because we're running to our jobs and we're scared we're going to miss it. Right? They're ready to end of Tefillah. For a lot of people, it's right. Right? They're already walking out the road. So the Ramah says we don't want people to saying it and messing it up. I say shalom. Maybe he's going to skip it. But Yosef the Beit Yosef we already saw argues with this. He says the death penalty is incurred during the burning, not during its recitation. And even if it's not done right, if it wasn't done on purpose, therefore those who are careful recite it daily, like the Magen Abraham said to do. And there those who write, the people who recite only on Shabbat are not familiar with the text. So they should read it from the Siddur. This is the Ashkenaz who only says it once a week on Shabbat. They should say it from a Siddur for sure because they don't know, they're not familiar with it. They do say it. Here, if the Ramah said they say it, they say it. And you understood everything they're saying. You understood anything that they're saying. So how could you say that you understood that they said it or not? Here we go. Here's Musaf Shabbat Yom Tov. It says Nusach Ashkenaz. And here we go. Kave and Kilokenu Pitum HaKetoret. Right here, you said they didn't say it. You don't understand anything they read it the whole day. Okay? So they do say it. All right. Now, Yakut Yosef. Yakut Yosef, source 37. Yesh loimer b'chol yom pitzim haketoret shaharit uminhat ve'omrim tehila en kelokenu. On shaharit, we'll start off by saying en kelokenu, like the Noda B'Yehuda said, to tell us all the riches that we're about to get when we go to work comes from God. Ve'chatav ataz shamirat en kelokenu mo'aleh lahashlim me'ah berachat b'chol yom. Somehow, when you say en kelokenu, that brings you, if you have trouble getting to the 100 brachot during the day, en kelokenu, you say Baruch Elokeinu, Baruch Adonai, Baruch Malkeinu, that helps to get to the 100 brachot. That's what the Taz says. The yesh shekatu lezer lo mipitum ketor dafka mitoch haktav v'loy ba'al peh. Yaakov Yosef also recommends read it from the book. The mipitum ketor. Don't say it by heart. Mishum she'amira b'mokum ketor ketor, because you're saying it instead of bringing the ketoret. And maybe you're going to be missing one. However, this is not a reason to not say it. Therefore, we say it, and you should say it from the kitab, say it from a book, read it, and therefore you got it right. Let's just take a quick look over here. Here we go. 15. Whatever.
So we shouldn't walk to shul for prayers reciting the korbanot.
Unless you're reading it from a book.
Say.
Unless you're reading it from a book.
No, by heart.
No. At least the Pitum HaKetoret part you shouldn't say by heart.
Wow.
The Pitum HaKetoret part you should say from a book. That's the recommendation. Okay. Here in halacha, I'm now coming out of the Tzurba, looking the Yalkut Yosef. Yesh no hagim lichtov parshat Pitum HaKetoret v'abrayta shela al klaf o gevil b'chtav ashuri kamo b'sefer Torah the karim ba b'chol yom v'hus v'hisagul leparnasa. He says people have the minhag, like we just brought me that Pitum HaKetoret on a klaf. You will write it, and it's the school of Parnasa. Very good. Ulam kvar nitba'er. He says I already explained earlier. It's not correct to do it. Not correct to get it to hire someone to write the Pitum Torah on the klaf. That's not right. If already it was written on a klaf, now it's mutar to read it. But to hire someone to go ahead and make it like that, Chavaji wrote that was the incorrect thing to do. That's not what we do. So if you already have it, you have it, and it's B'la Parnasa. So this is like a school of Parnasa that's been avad, right? If you have it already, now you have the school of Parnasa. But if you don't have it, you can't commission one to happen for you. It's not proper. Hatefillah ein roi lasot. Okay, now halacha 16 over here. It writes over here. Achar pitum haketoret oimrim tana devel yov. Everybody has to make sure to say this Taneh Devel Eliyahu. And do not rely on the Shliach Tzibur sayings. Why? The Yalkut Yosef here brings down a note from the Midrash. Amru, the Masha Omrim Achar Tfilah Tamidei Chachamim Marim Sha'olam Ba'olam. You know, when we say Tamid Chacham bring peace into the world, how many times does it say the word shalom in there? It says shalom 7 times, and 1 time it says shalva, for a total of 8. 8 pieces, 8. Why? The Samach Mem has 8 wings, apparently, And when you say Shalom Shalva 8 times, you're holding down its wings. You make it heavy, so he cannot go. So the Samach Mem cannot come and make trouble for your tefillah. So you have to say, that's why you have to be very careful to say. I'm reading it here, it says Shmona Kenafah. I'm reading from Yakut Revoni. It says 8. No, you heard. You have to show me the source. I'm showing what I have here. Therefore, and then he brings further, the Kaf HaChaim brings down from a midrash that this has happened with Moshe Rabbeinu. When Moshe Rabbeinu was praying 515 times to get into Eretz Yisrael, and Hashem said no more prayer, the Samach Mem came to Moshe, and he told Moshe, Amar lo en shalom amar Hashem. Hashem says you don't have shalom, meaning you cannot hold me down, and my intervention, the Samach Mem is saying, is not allowing you to go into. So your tefillah are not being accepted because you don't have shalom. And shalom, he says. That's what he brings down over here. Therefore, he writes, and therefore, don't run out of the shul and say, the Sheikh Tzurba is saying that part and it's fine. Therefore, you have to be very careful in reading it word to word. In order for your tefillot to be accepted. So we always thought all these things the rabbi just added together. Apparently, each and every single part is an essential piece and component in order for your tefillah to get accepted. If you skip certain parts, you skip Taneh D'Eliyahu, here comes the Samach Mem. He doesn't let your tefillah go up. So you just did a whole hour tefillah for nothing, and he's not going up anywhere. So very important to get every part right. All right. Now, sometimes it happens someone has to leave early from shul. So what do you do? So on page 131, source 38, Shulchan Aruch says, Asur le'adam, is forbidden for a person, letzet mebet ha'knesset, kodem kiddushat desidra, before Uval Tziyun is read. Asur letzet mebet ha'knesset. You're not allowed to go out. Again, I'm just going to read it Shulchan Aruch. It doesn't say anything else other than Listen, if ain't derech hacha, ain't derech hacha. You have no choice. You're noinus. But if you have an ability to stay for another 3-4 minutes, you'll have to take them somewhere else off. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just going to read the Shulchan Aruch again. It is forbidden. The Shulchan Aruch's lashon is asur, not recommended, not toiv, not medaktikim, nothing. He says asur. That's it. For Uval Tziyun, it's forbidden to leave the shul. We already saw, right? If you have to read it for yourself, you can read it for yourself.
You have to go, read for yourself, and go.
Right. That's right.
Finish one answer, say Uval Tziyun.
That's
if
right.
you really be honest with yourself, if you really hard to
you have your notice, you have to leave. You would read. You should read it on your own. Everything, read the whole ending on your own, and then run out. It's better to finish in there. Yeah. Okay, let's say about the Knesset. The kivan da oilam mitkayim al zeh. The world stands on it. Tzarich lizaher mizalzel b'zeh. Person has to be very careful not to be making fun of this. Lefi mashi birenu le'el de nachayin lahadil oimer mitzibor. Emel tzarich lezer shlo yitzet mikoydem. Afilim yirtzel oimer mipnei atzmai im loy b'shas hatchak. The Mishnah Berurah says you should say it with the congregation unless it's a shas hatchak. Unless it's a time that you just have to leave. It's impossible for you to stay. Then okay, you read it on your own and go. But if it's possible to stay, you should not be leaving without it. Piskei Tshuvot, right? Gam acherkach, ein l'tzim b'knesset ad gemar tefillah. You shouldn't leave. Oh, I heard Uval Tziyun. I'm good. Now I can leave. No. B'shemat Kaddishim b'kshu levush adayim tefillin. You should still wear your tefillin and hold the Kaddishim. L'chein yira adam la'aragel atzmoi l'yishar b'knesset ad gemar kol tefillah v'Kaddishim. Person should get used to staying in the shul until the whole tefillah is over. Except once in a while, and for a really big reason, then okay. And you should make sure to complete the rest of the tefillah. Someone who leaves constantly from the shul early, and not because of an onus. Those who leave Hashem will be destroyed. So unless it's an onus or for some other pressing need, A person just left stamazoi, it's not good. The Yalkut Yosef brings down otam. Those who rush to leave the shul, just rush, not good that they're doing. They're showing as if it was a burden for them to be in shul. That there's an edging to get out. They have to leave. They can't stay. And those who say Aleinu Shebeach on the road, also no good. And like yeah, and the Chamavadya's usual way, he says, however, if you're doing it for Torah, it's okay. If you have to head to a shir, you have to go to a shir, you have to make some a Torah shir, a Torah class, and you have to leave a couple minutes early, that would be fine. But other than that, there's no real excuse to leave early. Here I brought down to mention halakha 23, 24. Minig Sfaradim she'eino Kaddish achar aleinu shebeach. Ela omrim Kaddish yatom kadom aleinu shebeach. Mukomakim nagum Kaddish achar aleinu shebeach yamshichu b'minhagam. Some have a minhag to say another Kaddish after aleinu without saying any other mizmar. But most Sfaradim do not have the minhag to say another Kaddish afterwards. The Moroccans do a lot of interesting things like Ashkenazim. You'll see they do. Moroccans are more similar to Ashkenazim than other Sfaradim. And then he brings over here in yatum bet the Knesset en nachon levatel emat Kaddish shelefei aleinu shebeach. If there's no yatum, there's no person that has to say Kaddish, you shouldn't be mevatel the Kaddish for aleinu. Eliyomer HaKaddish echel mehakahal. Someone from the shul should say the Kaddish. Right, Kaddish Rabbanan, Kaddish Yisrael. Right. La'achar shebikesh reshut mehorim she'enu makpidim al zeh shem Kaddish k'she'en shem achar omer Kaddish. He has to get permission from his parents, though, if he's going to say it. Even if he has only one parent alive and one parent that's niftar, still should get permission from the other parent to say Kaddish on a steady basis. But he should not be mevato that Kaddish. So if someone in the shul already lost two parents, and it just is not the time of the year, but there's no one else saying Kaddish, that person should definitely say the Kaddish in the place when no one else is available. Okay, let's just finish up. Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says, "Nahagu ha'olam shalichot tefillin ad achar kedushat uvaletzion." The minhag is not to take off tefillin until achar uvaletzion. V'yesh mi shekatav ad tzad hakabbalah shalichot ad she'amar behem shlosh kadashot v'arba kadashim. You shouldn't take it off until you have 3 Kaddishes and 4 Kaddishes and 3 Kedusha. You have to be careful to have 4 Kaddishes and 3 Kedusha. So 3 Kedusha is before Shema, Shmona Esrei, and Uvaletzion. The 4 Kaddishes, we'll see not all of them are counted. It's the Shtabach one after Shmona Esrei, and Kashit Kaval, and the one before Aleinu. Those are the 4 that are counted. Okay, so you really want to keep your tefillin on for all of that. Sometimes I come here in the morning and I see some of the guys, they have this minhag. As soon as they can take out tefillin, they take it off. They're still in the shul for another half hour. Yet they take off their tefillin right away, and they hear a lot of kaddishes without tefillin. That's not the right practice. If you're anyway in the shul, you're not running out anywhere. Keep tefillin on until the end, so you can hear all the kaddishes with the tefillin. I just noticed people doing this. It's not only here, in other places also.
What about switching to Rabbeinu Tam?
So Chamavadya, he says that you could do that before at Ashrei. You can switch it at Ashrei.
And before Sefer Torah or after Sefer Torah?
He says Shaper dummy. It's better to do that.
What about Monday, Thursdays?
Yeah.
After the Sefer Torah, or when they take it out, like right at the Log Tachanun, and then they end it. So can you switch it right before?
It should be after Sefer Torah, if possible. During Ashrei, right before Ashrei, around that time. Not before. And the Sefer Torah, definitely you shouldn't take off your tefillin until the Sefer Torah is returned. Mr. Ashkenaz returns the Sefer Torah earlier, right? They finish reading the Sefer Torah. Before Ashrei, they already put it back. We Sfaradim, usually we keep it till we finish Ashrei V'Letzion, say Kaddish to Kabul, and then we say Yahalu and put it back. of the 3 minhag midanos elu, the Ramah says our minhag that we turn it right away. So there you shouldn't take it off until you finish the Avodat Tzion, because I put in the Sefer Torah earlier. So therefore you should leave it on to later. Just the Mishnah Berurah in the highlighted part, and people who tend to fold their talit and tefillin and put them away in their case during the recitation of Kaddish are not acting properly, as one must concentrate intently while reciting Amen Yehi Shemei Rabbah. And certainly is no worse than other berachot d'Rabbanan, concerning which one may not even perform any task while reciting them. During the Kaddish, you have to answer. When you make a bracha, you're not supposed to be doing anything else at the time except making the bracha. The same thing when you're answering Amen Yehi Shemei Rabbah, you shouldn't be doing anything else. And therefore, you should be answering and paying attention to that. So, this ends the Hilchot Siyum Hatefillah, and on page 134, he just says, "V'nashim ein tzichot lemar et selat tefillah da'ashrei b'letzion sheshem v'mukdaret achaminik shomer." Right, this is already pashut. Women have no chiyuv in doing any of these tefillot. I just read the second part. I know the Shlosh Kaddishot, he switches it around the Mishnah Berurah. He says there's the three Kaddishes and 4 Kiddushot. However, but basically what happens, the women don't have to say the Siyum Tefillah, but the minhag are Nashim Tzedkaniyot today, say everything. They say the whole Tefillah, the whole Siyum Tefillah, the whole Tehillim every single day, the Shmat Kohai every single day, Tikkun HaKlali every single day. Oh, what they don't say every single day, they have all these groups. That's why the house looks like the way it looks, because they're all singing Tefillot all day. Everything. Okay, this ends off the Hilchot of Siyum Tefillah. I would tell you, anything that came out from our study of Tefillah, number one halakha to remember, coming out from all the Hilchot Tefillah that we've done together, as Zman Tefillah is most important. That's going way back to volume 10. Zman Tefillah is most important. A person is only allowed to pray before Nates if it's someone who is a worker who has to get to work and he can't pray at Nates or after. Then he has a reshut to do that. Otherwise, even if he has no minyan afterwards, Kalavaji says you should not pray before Nates. Okay, and also if you're going to be later, it's going to be a minyan after Zman Tefillah Shachar, but you need to pray before Zman Tefillah. Therefore, you cannot wait for that minyan that's after the Zman. Pray before the Zman alone. So Zman is the ikar when it comes to time of prayer. The second big din that we learned over and over again is that you really can't be skipping and playing around in tefillah. That every part of the prayer is established, especially our prayer by Sfaradim, the Sfar that's based on the Arizal. The Arizal put in Kabbalistic kavanot into the tefillah. That means that it's built on Kabbalistic buildings and concepts. If you build a building and you skip floor 13, you're not going to have anything on top of it. The whole thing's going to fall apart. You have to have every building, every floor, everything in the right place. It's important on us to come to shul on time, to pray on time, to do everything in the right order in order for our tefillah to be accepted. All right. Now, we're going to start like a chain. Each part is connected.
Must be in the same place.
Right. And put it in a different place, it's not going to be the same. Always halachot that says if you come late, you can skip this, you can skip that, you can skip that. That's all shatat chak. That's if someone is an oinus, someone is like running around and he has, okay, well, halacha, you're going to be yoitzik tefillah. But to do what you were supposed to do with tefillah won't happen that way. Right? That's just to take that away with you. It's to me, when I was learning it, I always knew the halachas, but you never looked them in deep inside. Now that we're learning deep inside, you just saw how everything was related. And how the Chachamim put 8 times shalom, 8 times this. We're doing a Torah, how it works, it's stuff that you pray you wouldn't have paid attention to before. Now, Baruch Hashem, we were able to. We're going to start Hilchot Dinei Kaddish. Now, today we're not going to get into the most controversial of dinim of Kaddish. That will be next week. Woman saying Kaddish, is it possible? Can it be done? Was it ever done? Should it be done? That will all be dealt with, Be'ezus Hashem, Lineder next week. This week, we're going to start Hilchot Dinei Kaddish. But we're going to do something a little bit different. Usually, we don't do the machshava, or we do the machshava at the end. Today, I want to start with the machshava. So we're going to skip to page 182. Many of us who were here one Shabbat when Rabbi Bazov told over this story, but the story is very important to review, as it gives us an appreciation for Kaddish. Please turn to page 182 in the Tzurba, and then we're going to skip back to the beginning of this year. I'm going to read it it comes from the Or Zarua, and you have it in the Hebrew, but I'm going to read it in the English just for the sake of time and make it quicker. There was a story that occurred with Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was next to a cemetery, and he saw a naked man. The man was black as coal, carrying a large burden on his head that was heavy as 10 burdens, running as fast as a horse. Rabbi Akiva ordered him to stop. He said to him, "Why are you working so hard? If you're a servant and your master is doing this to you, then I'll redeem you from him. I'll buy you and I'll free you. And if you're poor, I'll make you rich." Rabbi Akiva says, "I don't want to see you in so much pain, so much trouble." The man said, "Please don't stop me. Then people are going to be very angry with me. I have to get back to my job." Rabbi Akiva said, "What is this? What is the meaning? Why are you working so hard?" And the man says to Rabbi Akiva, "You're talking to a dead man. Basically, I'm going to be dead, but I am dead. Every day, they send me to chop wood, and they burn me with it." Rabbi Akiva said, "My son, what was your work in this world that you came to such a bad scenario? How did you end up so bad?" He said, "I was a tax collector, and I was one of the leaders of the people, and I would favor the rich, and I killed the poor." He literally killed poor people, taking their money away and not charging the rich. So Rabbi Akiva tells him, "Those who are in charge of you, have they ever told you how you can have a tikkun? What can be a tikkun to fix you?" He says again to Rabbi Akiva, "Please don't stop me. They're going to be angry with me. I got to get back to work." But I did hear them once say something which is impossible to happen for me. They said that if this man had a son, very important, this according to the rule, it says son, right? Okay, if this man had a son who would stand before the shul and say Barechu, and the shul would answer back Baruch Hashem Rach Olam Va'ed, or were he to say Yitkadal, and they would answer Yehei Shemei Rabba Mivorach, they would immediately release this man from punishment. But this man, talking about himself, never had a son. He left his wife pregnant. He didn't know what the wife had. And if she gave birth to a boy, no one would teach the boy Torah, because me, the dead man, had no friends and no one wanted to deal with me. So Rabbi Akiva says this, "Okay, I got to fix this up. I'm going to go look for this boy." So he says to the man, now I don't have, here he doesn't bring any more notes. I would love to know what the significance of this is. But Rabbi Akiva asks him, this dead man, "What is your name?" And the man says, "What's his name?" He says, "My name is Akiva." So Rabbi Akiva is asking this dead man, "What's his name?" And the dead man is saying his name is Akiva. There's got to be some significance there. I don't know what it is, but let's continue. Then he says, "What's the name of your wife?" He says, "My wife's name is Shoshniva." "What city you come from?" "Lotkia." Okay, Rabbi Akiva was troubled by all this, so he went out over there to that town. He goes to that town, he meets a man and says, "Have you ever met this guy? Do you know this Akiva, the tax collector?" And the people of the team say, "May the bones of that wicked one be ground to dust." Basically, we hate this guy. He should be completely destroyed. So what about the man's wife? "May her memory be erased from the world." She's dead, and we want to forget her too. He asked, "What about the man's child?" He said to him, "There's no Brit Milah. Even the whole community didn't even bother giving this boy a Brit Milah. We just put him like in Chayim. We had nothing to do with his family. We don't look at them, touch them, nothing." So it says here, right where Akiva went, gave him a Brit Milah, sat down in front of him and started teaching him Torah. The boy refused to learn Torah. Rabbi Akiva fasted for him 40 days. Rabbi Akiva, you see, when the chesed comes to a tzaddik, he'll go all the way to make it happen. Okay, but he's doing this, fasting 40 days. A voice comes out and tells Rabbi Akiva, "Go teach him." Rabbi Akiva teaches him Kriyat Shema, teaches him Shemona Esrei, Bekat Hamazon. He presented the boy to the shul, and he said Baruch Hu. Everybody answered Baruch. He said it Kadal. Everybody answered Imei Hishmei Rabbah. At that very moment, this tax collector who killed 4 people was released from his punishment. The man immediately came to Rabbi Akiva in a dream and said, "May it be the will of the Lord that your soul find respite in Garden of Eden, in Gan Eden, for you have saved me from Gehenna." Rabbi Akiva immediately declared, "Your name, O Lord, endures forever, the memory of you through all the generations." And so discovered, there was a Ruah writes, my master, Rabbi Eliezer of Worms, in the Tanna of Eliyahu, that a child who recites Yit Gadal saved his father from punishment.
The Baruch Hu is for what? For the Yishtabach or the mourners Baruch Hu?
So this
Before Aleinu.
So this is the custom where they say Yit Gadal and then the mourner says Baruch Hu before Aleinu. That's why it says the mourners should say the Baruch Hu, because according to some opinions, it's the Baruch Hu that does the tikkun and not the Yit Gadal. But we say it's both. We say it's Yit Gadal and the Baruch Hu. So therefore, all the Siddurim would say that the Kaddish, the one who makes the Kaddish, Kaddish Moisef, and he says Baruch Hu, right? He says the Baruch Hu. The one who says the Kaddish should be the one that says the Baruch Hu, because that makes the tikkun for the neshama that passed away. So this is, I just thought a nice review of the story that Rav Basel shared with us a couple of weeks ago, but in the introduction to the Hilchot of Kaddish. Okay, now we can officially start the Hilchot of Kaddish. We're on page 151 in volume 12 over here. Yes. They gave him a brief. Rabbi Akiva gave him a brief. Now that I'm thinking the story, now you don't have to take this part of the understanding because this is my understanding of it. But I think the significance of this man being called Akiva may have been a play on Rabbi Akiva. Remember, Rabbi Akiva was a Choser B'Tshuva, right? And he came in a later age. It's possible Akiva saw himself in that person. And that person was another Akiva. And that's why he was so involved and invested into it. Possibly, I don't know. This is my own shot. It fits somewhat. But it's Sarachin. I don't know. I have to see if anyone brings this down. But for the time being, it's something to think about. Is when you see something like that, the guy has the same name as Rabbi Akiva, there's got to be some sort of a deeper connection. Anyway, let's take a look. We say Kaddish many times throughout the Tefillah. It's one of the most well-known prayers, so much so even the unaffiliated Jews know about Kaddish. The Or Zarua, he was a student of Rabbi Eliezer of Worms. Right? He says, my master, Rabbi Eliezer of Worms. Okay, Azuru is a Rishon. All right. So much so that even those who are unaffiliated Jews know about Kaddish. I remember as a child once, we were watching a episode of Superman cartoon, and someone dies in the cartoon, and in the cartoon they were saying so a Jew died, and they were saying in the cartoon they were saying Kaddish. So even the goyim in the goyim, whatever in Hollywood, they know they know about Kaddish. Kaddish is something that the whole world knows over. Right. I can show you the episode where they say Kaddish in the middle of a thing. Before we carefully examine the text of Kaddish, we'll begin by exploring the overall meaning and purpose of Kaddish. What is the prayer? Where did it start? The Aruch HaShulchan offers a general introduction to explain the purpose and importance of Kaddish. Aruch HaShulchan writes, the Kaddish hu shevach gadol v'nora shetiknu anshe knesset hagedolah. So the Aruch HaShulchan writes that Kaddish was made by Anshe Knesset Hagedolah, and it is an important and awesome praise to Hashem. Achrei Chorban Beit Rishon, Hatefillah Achilul Shemo Yitbarach v'Chorban Beit Hamikdash v'Chorban Eretz HaKodesh u'Pizor Yisrael v'Bagak Kafot Haaretz v'Anu Mitpalim Shitkadav v'Yitkadesh Shemo Yitbarach K'mo she'amar Hanavi v'Hitgalti v'Hitkadeshti v'Nodati le'enei goyim rabim v'Yidu ki ani Hashem. The whole point of Yit Gadal is because after the destruction of the Mikdash, there was a Chil Hashem. The Mikdash was destroyed. The Jews were destroyed, the land was destroyed. So in order to go from a Chil Hashem to a Kiddush Hashem, this is where Yitkadav, Yitkadash, Shemerabah was created. So according to Aruch HaShulchan, it is the Anshe Knesset Hagidola who instituted Kaddish. Okay? Like Anshe Knesset instituted all our tefillot. They were the source of all tefillot. Tosafot. What now? We say Kaddish in Aramaic. It's not Hebrew. That's Aramaic. It's not Hebrew. It's like Birch Shemei and other prayers that we say in Aramaic. Why is it said in Aramaic? So Tosefot, Masechet Berachot, he wants to say as follows. We already know that Kedusha de Sidra and Yemei Shmei Rabbah is what keeps the world going. And then he writes, they used to recite Kaddish after a sermon, right? A sermon. So you had a drasha from the rabbi who gave a drasha, and everybody understood it. And there were ignorant people there, the Amei Aretz there. שהיו רגילים לומר קדיש אחר דרשה, ושם יהיו עמי הארצות, ולא היו מבינים כולם לשון הקודש, לכן תקנו בלשון תרגום, שהיו כל המבינים, שזה יהיה לשונם. Therefore they make Kaddish in Aramaic so everybody can understand. Remember, the whole point of Kaddish is for everybody to make a Kiddush Hashem. So if you want to make a Kiddush Hashem, everyone has to understand it. Therefore, Kaddish was originally instituted in Aramaic. That was the vernacular of the day. That was the language that people spoke in the day. Everybody understood it. Right. The Sefer Abdur Raham brings a different reason why it's said in Aramaic. He says, "Umash tiknu hakadish v'loshen aramid ish amrim pnei malchi ashar shloitnu banusha anu shavach and shavach na'a hazek k'moshon perikam de brachos asher melech shemachlis nois bebeisay kach v'gam lepisha shah sheYisrael anu mamen yesh mei rabban v'orach kodesh baruch hu niskel churban habayit begalot Yisrael k'mosh arnu dem yivnu zeh malchi ashar yikatrigu aleinu." So he says two parts. He says, A, we don't want the angels to be jealous of our Yitkadal. Apparently, our Yitkadal is so special that if the Malachim would hear us say it, they would be jealous of us. Second point that Abdur Raham says in the same paragraph, that if they would understand what we're saying, they would say the whole reason why you have to say Kaddish is because you got the Beis Hamikdash destroyed in the first place. It's going to be more problematic for us if they understood it. Al kain tikno tabelashon aramid kidei shlo yavinu malachim she'enam makinin oto. Therefore, we say it in Aramaic, in the language that the Malachim don't understand. So this way, they cannot say it's our fault the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, and at the same point, they won't be jealous of our prayers. Or according to Tosafot, it's in Aramaic because that's the language everyone understood at that day. Now, what is the reason we say Kaddish at certain points in Tefillah? We don't say Kaddish anywhere. We say it at certain points. After Korbanot, after Ishtabah, right? After Shemona Esrei, after Voletzion. Why is it at certain parts? So the Sefer HaAgur, this is another Rishain, and he says as follows. He brings from the Ra'avad. Achar psukei de zimra, sheyesh la'asham hefsek de psukim. There's an end of psukim. We just read a bunch of psukim. That's the end. So you say Kaddish. Kaddish achar Siyum tefillah, and again after Shemona Esrei, shehi mitzvah pnei atzma ve'en dafkul acharei. It's the end of a part of tefillah. You say Kaddish. Kaddish achar ket Torah, ki mitzvah pnei atzma beKnesset. Again after Torah, reading another Kaddish, because that's its own thing, its own mitzvah. Kaddish achar kedusha, and again Kaddish after Voletzion. V'davar shekdusha. Kaddish achar amirat mizmor o perek o agada o mishnah. So he says that every Kaddish is really a Siyum Tefillah, a Siyum of part of Tefillah. You ended one part, you say Kaddish. Some, we're going to see later, some hold the Kaddish is not a Kaddish of the Siyum, but it's a Kaddish of Metchilah, of a Tchilah. Someone has said the Kaddish is the start of the next part. By the way, the Sefer HaAgur brings it down, the Kaddish is the end of the previous part. Okay, that's going to play a big role, by the way, in halakha. That's why you'll see, right? The Ben Ish Chai brings down O Joseph Chai. If you are waiting for a minyan for mincha, You should not say Ashrei before the minyan comes. You should say Ashrei when the minyan is there and then say Kaddish. Because the Kaddish is really going on the Mizmor of Ashrei. Because the Mizmor is a Siyum of the one part of Tefillah before you start the next part of Tefillah. The same thing Yishtabach. You should make sure you have 10 before you say Yishtabach. So you say the Kaddish is going on what you said beforehand. That you should wait until you have the 10. Right? No, they should be there. They should be there. Yeah. You have to have 10, and then you say it, and then you say the Kaddish. That's the proper way. Then he says over here, and there's a Kaddish after Ashrei at Mincha, which is an independent mitzvah. That's why the mitzvah, the Ashrei leads to the Kaddish before Mincha, the Shmona Esrei. Okay, and there's a Kaddish after Shema at Aravit, and that would be because Aravit is a Reshut, therefore you can be mafsik somewhat between Gula and Tefillah, which you can't do during Shaharit. That's why we put a Kaddish there. And then he writes over here, you shouldn't have less Mezayin Kaddishot B'chol Yom. But not all the Kaddishim are counted in the count of 7. Exactly which Kaddishim are counted or not are somewhat of a disagreement here. The Mishnah Berurah says 7 times a day. Which ones are these? The one after Psukei de Zimra, what comes after Yishtabach. Second is a half Kaddish after Shmona Esrei. The third is the Kaddish after Avodat Zion. That's the Titkabel, right? A fourth is after Aleinu, or for us before Aleinu, right? Mishnah Berurah is after Aleinu, must be before Aleinu. Fifth is after Ashrei at Mincha. A sixth is after Mincha. And the 7th is after Shema at Aravit. Those are considered the 7, according to the Mishnah Berurah. Those are the 7 Kaddishim that you're supposed to hear every single day. Okay? What? Right. It should be said. Those 7. No, you can have more. He says no, but the Sefer Agur says Amirat Mizmor or Perik or Agada or Mishnah can recite the Alma Kai Kedusha the Sidra of you have a Heshmer Rabbah Agadata, that's for sure. After every Agadata learning, you say Kaddish. That's the Heshmer Rabbah that's so powerful the world keeps on. That after Drasha, the Kaddish that's afterwards, that's the most powerful Kaddish. To add on after Tefillah, like Chabadnikim. You ever down with Chabadnikim after they finish after they finish the Tefillah? There's like a 10 more Kaddishim. Al Tiro Kaddish, this Kaddish, that Kaddish. Yeah. Okay. The Penine Halacha, he writes over here, there are 4 types of Kaddish, right? We have Chatzi Kaddish, Hu Ikara Kaddish, and V'nikra Kan Kidei Lahavdilo Mishar Kaddishim Sheish Behem Od Tosafot. V'chol Malkom She'ein La'arach Behefsek, Amrim Chatzi Kaddish. So we have Chatzi Kaddish. This is the main part of Kaddish. All the other Kaddishim will now add on to that. Kaddish Yehei This is also considered Kaddish Shalem. This is what we usually say after Psukim of Tanakh. That's why after Sher Shel Yom, what Kaddish you say? Kaddish Yehei You don't say Kaddish Al Yisrael. All right? Kaddish Al Yisrael only comes after when you learn from Gemara. Rabbi Shmuel Omer, Shoshas Midot Taton Reshet. Now you had a Braita, you had some sort of, then you could say Kaddish Al Yisrael. Otherwise, when it's after a shir, after a mizmor, or looking from Tanakh, it's going to be a Kaddish Yehei Kaddish Kava, we know, only comes after Shmona Esrei or Slichot, which is to some extent considered a Tefillah. And then Kaddish Al Yisrael, which is also known as Kaddish Rabbanan, that we say, Achel limud b'divrei chachamim. Limud b'divrei chachamim, not in Tanakh. Okay? Although the Fnei HaTosafot shel Kaddish Shalem, but in Tefillah l'mudei Torah she'yizku l'chaim tovim aruchim. And we add a prayer for the rabbis and those who learn Torah. They should have long days. So those are the 4 Kaddishim that are the usual Kaddish. Any other Kaddishim that we have that we want to mention? We have what's known Kaddish HaGadol. Right? Kaddish HaGadol Kaddish HaGadol, what's Kaddish HaGadol? Kaddish HaGadol is either said after Levaya, when they bury the person, the Kaddish HaGadol. Some people have minhag to say it. That's the Atid, right? It's the Rambam. There's and that's also the Kaddish that you say on Tisha B'Av for Sfaradim on Tisha B'Av night. And it's also the Kaddish that you say after the Siyum of a Masechet. Okay? The Art Scroll and all the Gemaras that bring this, the Kaddish at the end, that is not the Nusach of the Rambam. And that would not be the Nusach of Kaddish Da'atid for Sfaradim either. That's a different Nusach, not the Rambam's Nusach of Kaddish Da'atid. Therefore, if you want to read the correct for us of after a Siyum, you should take out the Sephardic Tisha B'Av, the Kaddish Gadol? Yeah, you say Kaddish Da'atid every single day? Yeah. Oh, you show me that afterwards. Oh, really? Yeah. Kaddish Gadol. Right. So once, yeah, it's a very Kaddish Gadol is huge. Someone once asked me, what's the connection between Siyum and Masechet and when a Niftar and Tisha B'Av? Those are the times we say Kaddish Gadol, right? And this Kaddish Da'atid. What's the connection between it? I haven't yet seen it. I came up with a chat once. I don't know if it's a legit chat, but not for now. Let's finish up this section. I know we have another minute or two. Let's just finish it up. Shulchan Aruch says, "Omer Kaddish vein Omer Otov Pachad Miyud." You need 10 people. Bnei Charin Gedolim Shavir Beit Sa'arod. The Kedusha Ubarafush Ein Amru B'Pachad. Now comes the question that I talked about before. They bring from the Taz, the Magen Avraham, and the Gra Mishnah Berurah. What to do? You had 9 people when you said that part, and now came the 10th. But I already said Yishtabach. What do I do at that point? So I brought here the Yalkut Yosef. There's a machloket what to do. Some say it's okay. You can just say Kaddish at that point. And some say, no, you're going to have to go back. You have to go back to say Ashrei. The Ben Ish Chai says if you said Ashrei without 10 people and then you have 10 people, Ben Ish Chai says on Mincha you have to say a different Mizmar. And then you can say Kaddish. You cannot just say it. I'll read to you over here what he says about Yishtabach. So Siman Nun Dalid. I brought it down. Siman Nun Dalid. Halachai Yud Bet. He writes over here. V'mashliach tzibur Siyum sayem berkat Yishtabach v'rach achar kach hitparer she'en sham minyan. So Tion, he said Yishtabach, said the bracha, and now he realizes there's no minyan. He's waiting for the 10th to come. Even though he didn't hear Yishtabach, he could say Kaddish. In the footnote, he writes over here, though, that what he should do, that he should say 3 psukim. He writes over here, he should say 3 psukim. כשהגיע העשירי, יכולים לומר קדיש, אף בשעה שאמר ברכת ישתבח לא היה מניין, לכלור באלי רבא, בשם תושבת מהר"ם. He writes, אך קודם הקדיש יאמר גימל פסוקים בפסוקי דזמרה. Person should say 3 psukim. I don't know which 3 psukim. He doesn't say which 3 psukim to say. But any 3 psukim he should say, and then say the Kaddish afterwards, because you have to have something there before you can say the Kaddish. That's what he says to do. You can read the Mishnah Berurah, and then just to end off with Rav Shechter, Hershel Shechter says it could be possible. We've been looking at the Sefer Agar and everyone that says that Kaddish comes as a Siyum at Tefillah, but Rav Shechter says maybe you can look at Kaddish as being of a Kaddish that is a matchil, that is a beginning, and therefore if you're saying that the Kaddish is a beginning, and therefore you don't need 10 when you're ending it off, because you just need it for the beginning. All right, this is where we'll end off for this week. Bez Hashem, next week we'll start on page 157, getting into the text. And to Allah halachot, Bli Neder, next week we'll deal with the big controversial topic of women saying Kaddish, and we'll see what the halacha l'maisa there is.